The recent school shooting in Georgia by Colt Gray, obviously he's in custody now, and his father, Colin Gray, now in custody as well, both facing murder charges for that tragedy. We also recently saw a police body cam video shot about a year prior to the actual shooting, where there was allegations that Colt had made some threats on Discord. Not a whole lot was done about it. There was a quick little visit, some talk about deer antlers, and then the police were on their way. Joining me to discuss, Robin Dreek, retired FBI special agent, chief of the Counterintelligence Behavioral Analysis Program. What was your reaction to that video the year before? And did the officers fail in that? Were their hands tied? What was your analysis when you? I mean, hindsight's 2020 for those guys, I'm sure. But what was your thoughts on how that was all handled?
Every time we deal with a case that deals with kids that are lost, it just tears me up.
Yeah.
My multiple reactions on this one. My first reaction is how many times does a little boy need to say, I need help, not get it, and go kill someone?
Yeah.
It keeps happening. I mean, these are I'm working on another book right now. And one of the themes in it is red flags.
Yeah.
How many red flags? Because this is just another horrendous case of we don't need to sit back with a from a 30,000 optic lens looking at, so where are the red flags? He told us. He
Hmm.
said he's in pain, he needs help, and he didn't get it.
Yeah.
And law enforcement, they didn't have the tools to do more than they did. You can't arrest someone. We talked about this before. In cases like this, we need a new process.
Hmm.
We need a process where when someone says, I need help, they get help. And part of that help is no firearms. Firearms are now illegal to you in your life because you are under mental duress, you're under mental care,
Hmm.
whatever. And then accountability for everyone in that house, same way. Because with the laws that were in place, you're right. It's a tragedy because there was nothing else law enforcement could do because there's nothing else to do.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just
I mean,
ugh.
I suppose. I mean, they could have gone in. I mean, they could have looked at the devices. I mean, I was surprised just how quickly they took him at his word of saying, "No, I didn't do this." I mean, they could have gotten a warrant to go look at some of this stuff, but the reality as well is, and this is not an excuse, but the reality is, schools get threats all the time, and people make threats online and trying to weigh what's serious and what's not clearly hasn't worked very well because we miss a lot of what is serious. Um, I think we're entering, at least I hope we're entering a world now where all of them are taken very seriously and not just, well, we talked to him for a few minutes and turns out it wasn't quite credible. I think anytime you make a threat like this, it's like going to the airport and making a threat. Uh, it's serious. It is what it like. You made the threat. There's no walking it back now. Now you're going to face the consequences of your actions.
Yeah, again, going back because I got Gavin DeBecker on my mind,
Yeah.
because I just finished that book up. Threats are a great time to intercede because threats aren't actions yet.
Hmm.
Threats are the red flags, and when you get that, that's time to move in because then you still have time to do something about it. And boy, we've done such a good job reacting to these things, which is really great, but sad at the same time. And even in this case, the mother called in and they had a 30-minute heads up. Wrong student. It
Yeah.
was such a similar name. Well, and what's the probability of that? They did a great job of moving in as soon as they had the threat. The mother calls in, and it could have been stopped, but similar name. Oh my gosh.
But was
Eh,
that handled well? I mean, even similarly, so we're looking for the kid. We want to go talk to the. You get the threat alert. Put police by the doors immediately. Like it
mhm.
should have been into lockdown right away. And even while
Yep.
you're trying to figure this stuff out, but there's this disconnect, I think, with so many folks where number one, people when we're talking about the kid itself, when kids need help, the parents need to admit that their kid needs help. I think a lot of parents want to admit that half of the time because their little Susie's or Jimmy's perfect. And then also, well, it's not going to happen here. It's just another, it's another threat. But we're going to go talk to the kid. No, boom. It's like pulling a fire alarm is how that should be handled. not let's kind of quiet. Let's like lock down now. Just stop. Because what is it going to hurt? Kids are already terrorized. We're already giving them the shooter drills in school every year, so they're already kind of ready for it. Might as well, employ what they've learned so we can prevent these sort of things from happening.
I know we say it every time, but I'm hoping this is the turning point
I hope
because
so.
you cannot get more fine tuned. I mean, we keep fine tuning. This school did it was as fine tuned as you possibly could be for reacting. We got to stop training to react and we have to start training to proact
Yeah,
because the teachers had badges that was able to alert like this. That's
yeah,
fantastic. The mother called in. They had the wrong student, but they had a student that reacted there. They had two resource officers on site. And so yes, it could have been so much worse, but they were so fine tuned to
yeah.
reacting.
But even
And
that
it
was
was
not
still
enough.
it wasn't enough because we're not proacting. We've got to when especially in these cases, the kid said, "I need help"
Yeah,
a year ago,
yeah.
and he didn't get it.
No, and when you look at the dad, I wouldn't. I mean, you would want any father to be proactive to try and get the kid help. He seems just like an idiot. So I'm not surprised he didn't recognize that this kid
He
needed
threw
help.
kerosene on a fire.
Yeah, completely. I'm going to get him a gun for Christmas. Yeah, great idea, genius.
Oh,
Um,
gonna accuse my s I mean, can you imagine? You're gonna accuse my son of wanting to shoot up a school? Good, let's get him an AR.
yeah, why not? That makes a lot of sense. I had an idea on this, and I threw it by Jennifer Coffindaffer earlier today, and she really liked it. Actually, I did it off the air, but I want to throw it to you on the air. What if, because we're all searching for ways in our country and how to get a little more proactive, police substations, they're all around cities.
Mhm.
Why don't we have them connected to schools? Why don't we make the substations part of the school, literally? Not where there's a jail where you're going to put criminals in there and such, but where, their officers are
Co-locate.
dispatched out of. There's offices there, and you have many officers there. We see it at like the Dallas airport. It's basically its own city now, and it has its own substations and such. Why don't we do something like that within our communities? Their schools are centrally located. Granted, you're going to have infrastructure costs and things of that nature. But if going forward we started looking at a plan like that with our schools and the police being right there on campus, might make it a little bit harder of a target to go and pull something off at.
Part of a target, I agree. Um, I still think we're gonna unless we attack the proactive nature of these kids, it's
Oh,
still
it's
gonna keep
it's one
happening.
step. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just it's one more piece of reinforcement that
I mean, you make it more challenging for someone to want to victimize a school. There's
yes,
no doubt,
yeah,
and I love that idea. But again, if they're not going to shoot up the school, they're going to shoot up someplace else then.
yeah, yeah, that's true
And
there.
so which is great. Don't shoot up kids. Try to go for someplace else. But unless we get them to not want to shoot something up,
Hmm.
they're still going to go after something. I mean,
Yeah,
you see this all around the world.
yeah,
Gun advocates, whether you're a gun advocate or not, all these other places around the world, they're still if you're bent and determined to kill someone, they're going to get a knife. They're going to do something. They're going to run into you into a car. And so if you have someone that's mentally disturbed like that, they're
yeah,
going to find a way to act on it. Guns makes it immensely easier, and you have a lot more victims in those cases.
yeah,
But same time, though, we need to do a better job as a country dealing with kids. And it's not like we have to hunt them down. They're saying it. Tony, it just blows my mind. I mean, I can't recall them off the top of my head. The majority of the cases you and I have covered the last couple of years that were the horrendous child that, and I say child, anyone in the
mhm,
20s and younger to me is a child.
yeah,
Koberger included. When he was a teenager, he said he needed help.
mhm,
All these kids are saying they need help and they didn't get it
yeah,
or got it and forgot about it or didn't get it enough or whatever it is. So
yeah.
it's completely still a mental health issue that is the big proactive thing that, and I don't have a solution because I'm not a mental
Sure.
health professional. Same time though, it's again, it's not rocket scientists. We have a large number of shootings that could have been prevented, not if we reacted better,
Mhm.
but if we actually listened to them saying to us, "I have a problem and I'm going
Yeah.
to shoot someone up if you don't stop me."
I saw a really interesting study the other day, and I'm probably going to get some hate on this, but I was just curious. It came out about mania and Adderall prescriptions within the United
Mm.
States and overprescribing. And I want to preface this by first saying I am not anti-prescription. I think when you have mental health problems, it can certainly help you when prescribed correctly by a trained physician in those specific areas like a psychiatrist. But the reality that we have in the United States is a lot of these antipsychotic drugs and stuff are prescribed by general care physicians who, in the most cases, have no business prescribing these drugs. Especially, it's just not their specialty. If you're a general care physician, that you should be pushed to a specialist to determine if that is indeed right for you. And is it right for some kids? I'm sure it is. But I correlated the numbers on just how high this is, and this is being overprescribed. This is if you're overprescribed. It's not everybody on Adderall or anything like that, but overprescriptions and the amount of kids on this and the volume of school shootings in the United States from 1990 to 2024, the graph is almost identical.
Mm.
And it's really, I mean, I got some arguments. I put it on online yesterday. Some people saying, well, you could say the price of groceries did that too. Yes, but it's not exactly the same comparison here. I'm curious about that. I'm curious about overprescribing because we didn't necessarily have this level of gun violence in our schools. At least when I was in elementary, it started when I was about coming out of high school. Columbine was my last year. And then you just kept seeing this get higher and higher in the prescriptions. And again, some kids need it, but many don't. Many just need better parenting. And when you get to this level, I'm wondering, is this an issue? Is this part of what is causing? Because these are psychological problems these kids have that are causing them to go out and do it. I'm sure there's many other factors in this, but I did find that interesting.
Yeah, it'd be interesting for someone to do a study, but the correlation between the two.
Yeah.
I always go to, all right, so if we have a case of people being overprescribed,
Hmm.
which I think we have a society that's overprescribed right now,
Yes.
we then have to go to the root cause. What has changed over time? It requires overprescription. So now we're dealing in the area of realm of my passion, and that is understanding human behavior. I mean,
Yes.
as a species,
Hmm.
we have been in a time period of our species, Homo sapiens, that we and it's there's another great book out there called The Abundance Crisis.
Hmm.
No, The Comfort Crisis. And as a species, we do not do well psychologically when we have too much comfort. We thrive in deprivation. We thrive when we don't have enough. Matter of fact, genetically and biologically, we survive longer and live longer when we have calorie deprivation because that's what we've been genetically coded for.
Hmm.
And so anytime we have a society which you have an abundance, we have a lot of psychological issues that start coming to play.
Sure.
Because when you have enough of something, you're going to make an issue of something. When you make an issue of something else, you have lack of parenting going on at home. You have lack of being here's the most important thing when it comes to us as a species. We want to feel like we're providing value and being appreciated for that value we're providing.
Hmm.
That's where we're having a massive crisis. And when we don't feel that way, what do we get? Prescriptions to feel that way. Instead of actually working through there with teachers, mentors, and guides to
Hmm.
actually understand what a purpose in life for us is, where we can provide value to others
Hmm.
and be appreciated for that value. That's what makes us feel good.
Yeah.
Happiness is not material wealth. The studies are solid on this. Happiness is doing something of value and you being valued for that thing you're providing.
Hmm.
Good, healthy relationships and affiliations. That's what gives us our greatest happiness. And so when people keep chasing all these other materialistic things, we're unhappy. When we get unhappy, we get depressed, and that's where the prescription starts coming in, putting
Yeah.
a band-aid on the fact that you're just missing
Yeah.
the mere fact that you just need to provide value and be appreciated for that value and have good, healthy relationships.
Yeah. I mean, without a
Long answer, as a
yeah.
long Robin narrative answer, but
I mean,
so you
yeah.
you hit on it with the prescription
Let me show
stuff.
you. This is the chart right here. This is the correlation between Adderall prescriptions and school
Mhm.
shootings, normalized data to show that I put this together last night because I was really curious about that study, and then obviously I was talking about these shootings lately, and we start at 1990, and then that graph is very telling. It's not any sort of scientific, super study, but the data is real. The data that I got on this, because that was the next question I was asked. Well, where did you get all that? the data from, and it's from the Centers of Disease Control. School shooting data comes from the K-12 school shooting database, and USA Facts provides a number of school shootings on there as well. So we had some very, factual information it came from.
You know
Obviously,
what I'd be really
yeah,
an interesting third, correlation in here would be really interesting for the same time period if they could do this survey, because they probably haven't, but if they could, it'd be really interesting to see out of the people surveyed on that data thing, how many actually felt like, had a life of value and contribution.
yeah. I mean, that would be
Bet you that
interesting.
falls off.
Yeah,
I bet you that falls off,
falls down, and yeah.
which creates the inverse.
Well,
I
and
mean,
I would
so what
also
you're gonna have is you're gonna have 2 graphs like this.
And I what I would who I wanna ask that to is actually the parents, more than I would the kids, because the kids are trying to come up in life. As the parents feel like they're falling down in that, I'm
Mhm.
gonna guess that correlates to not the best parenting and raising of a child. It would be very fascinating, but I am wondering, if we can connect these dots a little bit more, because that seems to be a very, it's something to take note of, without a doubt.
It
Again,
seemed
not
pretty glaring though,
yeah,
didn't it?
not anti-prescription. I take some myself, but again, in the right place, the right time, not overprescribed, and we
You know,
undoubtedly do that to kids in our country.
and the key that also hit me when you're saying that too is the people that prescribe that are trained to prescribe for anything, mental that
Yeah.
is going on are psychiatrists,
Yes.
and they are trained on it. And no, the really great psychiatrists out there are the ones that are going to talk, 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 counsel, counsel, counsel. If that doesn't work, then we're going to try a little bit of this to see
Yeah.
what that does. And we'll do a little science experiment, a little cause and
Yeah.
effect there. Those are the ones doing really good. Now remember this when this was with anyone that's going for any kind of medical treatment for anywhere. You are the client, they are the provider.
Mhm.
Be discerning, ask questions. If you don't like what you're hearing, get those second opinions. You don't have to buy the service just because they have a title. You
Yeah.
can go someplace else and ask somewhere else.
Yeah.
Be very, very discerning. Take care of the issue at hand. And no one knows you and no one knows your kids better than you do. So
Mhm.
if you don't like what you hear, it's not like painting rose colored glasses. If it doesn't make sense, if it
Yeah.
doesn't make common sense, and if they can't explain it in the easy, understandable way,
Yeah.
get another opinion.
Well, everybody wants a quick fix, and especially with kids and busy
Yep.
parents. And it's like, oh, they're a mess. They're doing this. They're doing that. Go to the general care physician. My friends tell me that their kids on this, they were acting this way. They put them on this, and it was great. Oh, okay. Well, little Jimmy, let's prescribe that for you right now, rather than let's take some time. Let's really make sure that this is what should be going on, or self reflection. Going, am I being a good parent? Am I being there for my child? So they're not necessarily feeling these ways. And again, not saying there aren't mental imbalances, there certainly are. But we have a problem in our country of over prescribing to kids.
And here's some great questions for you. So if you're listening to this or watching us, if someone prescribes something to you and your child, great. You start asking those what questions.
Yes.
What exactly is this going to do? Get an answer.
Yeah.
What does that mean? What's going to be the impact? What's the impact short term, long term?
Yeah.
What are some signs that it's not working? What are some signs that it is working? What should I do if I don't think it is working? What should I do if I do think it's working? I mean, so I keep
Yeah.
asking what questions. And now, if this is a fantastic physician, like most of them are, they should be able to answer like this
Yeah.
quick, easy,
Well,
fluid.
I think the reality is, little Jimmy gets on it, or whoever gets on it. And if it's still not, if the parents are still annoyed by their behavior, or there's problems with their behavior, we'll up the dosage. We'll up the dosage. And that's where you start to get to higher levels. And if we're seeing that there is mania and things of that coming out of overprescription of this specific drug that so many kids are on, it's not a good thing.
Then you play that forward. Again, do everything we do here on the show.
Yeah.
Let's play this tape forward. If he's on this and this goes on for another 6 months, 12 months, what's that long-term impact look like? What are some of the side effects of this? What are some of the negative side
Yeah.
effects? What are some cases where they've gone sideways from this actual drug? So keep asking those questions
Yeah.
on projecting that out, because if you get the answers you're not comfortable with,
Yeah.
might not be a good choice.
Not at all. Ask questions. Ask questions of the right people. There is no pill that's just going to fix it all. And I have no idea if Colt Gray was on Adderall or anything like that, but I found it to be an interesting correlation. I'm not a doctor. This is just something I put together, but certainly did make me raise an eyebrow.
It's all about making a great team between you, your kids, your family, and your physicians.
Yeah.
It's a team effort, always.
Hey, thanks for checking out the video. Be sure to follow us wherever you download podcasts, and especially Apple Podcasts, where you can get advanced episode and premium content on our premium channel right there. Also, be sure to follow us on social media so you don't miss any breaking updates on the stories that matter to you most. We're on TikTok, X, Instagram, Facebook. Just search Hidden Killers Podcast with Tony Brueski, and you'll find us right there. Again, thanks for watching.